All right, good evening to our community from the UK. All right, just a quick video. I did a video earlier. I've turned down my YouTube blogs because I don't want to keep repeating myself. And don't need to get myself legally, criminally captured, because if I can use the facial expressions, ideology looks, tone of your voice, for the local criminals, the local targeting network, and those social services, healthcare, NHS, mental health administrators, who conspire, because the local people in Coventry and all over the West Midlands, they're brothers and sisters, families, mothers, fathers, aunties, uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers. Yeah, although someone may know from school works in the social services, the NHS, healthcare, mental health system. And the people they use to sit on COVID duty are proper satanic ritual abusing evil, twisted animals. So I've got no respect for them, just the way they've got no respect for TIs. And we're talking about stage scenario, stage actors. With the implementation of the internet and compatible devices, cameras, apparatus, equipment, which they use for targeting, thermology, see-through wall, sonar, radar, cameras, ultrasound, infrasound, enabled cameras that capture outlining of people's bodies, track and trace technologies, all compatible with the internet. Just how dirty the NHS medical industry is now. Social services, healthcare, mental health, police officers, and the local criminals. Armed forces boys and girls, firemen, contractors, mercenaries, foreigners, security guards have become in workplaces and in our community. Also using university kids, college kids who are into graphic design, into computer, software, wizardry, editing, filmmaking, and with the use of avatars, animation, which is seen advertised in the online in all kinds of platforms, which is now being used for healthcare, mental health administrators who want to offer the services online, and also being used in colleges. And it's being used in a lot of places, mainstream. Yeah, for little short commercials, advertising, and tutorials, and teaching people about the new upcoming technologies that we're using in healthcare, biomedicals, nanotechnology, or the neuroscience school degree that we're doing on TIs, experiment on TIs as guinea pigs before we roll it out, or have rolled it out, but obviously not telling the truth, saying that with wearables and sensors, that you can put on with a cap. Yeah, they can detect all the neuroscience neurons going off in your head. When in reality, TIs who are guinea pigs they've experimented on, they do it. The sensory circuitry embedded illegally, criminally, with the next door neighbours, these sneaky contractors who shove the sensor circuitry, embed it in the walls of next door, or shove it through the floorboards if you've got wooden floorboards, in through the ceiling above you, or through an attic, have people sneaking, which is the local community, the burglars, the trespassers, and the getting paid to do all this illegal research for the industry. And the disgusting people in NHS England, medical industry, wherever which country TIs are being abused in, along with social services, the healthcare abusers, the mental health abusers, they're all in it. They're all desperate to do bogus research, bogus clinical close-up research, studies, clinical trials, comparisons, and collect data of TI's biometrics and the brain circuitry. Do it all for free, obviously without getting consent from TIs. And if they target your family members, they'll do it to your family members because they've got the equipment here. And if you live with your family, they're going to do the biometrics capture orology capture, facial expressions capture. They can do the neuroscience nuance capture, and then compare it against other people. Because they're corrupted and they're fraudsters, they're going to have it in for the TIs. So they're going to make sure, they're going to social engineer that the test results, the data that they're collected of TIs, is always going to be worse than anyone else they're comparing it to. So that's how evil Coventry City is, Coventry City Council establishment. How evil the NHS England is. How evil, healthcare, social workers are. And with the new juniors, they're training, boys and girls in colleges, universities, or boys and girls who want to get into healthcare, obsessed with the avatars, the animation that they've seen and been told about the targeting programme. They now get access of people like me, sitting in the privacy of my own home or family's home. And due to a sense of secrecy that they're put in from next door neighbour, they can watch it from the comfort of their own home on a mobile phone. And if, and a lot of TIs have experienced this, if a targeting network is on your phone, they can mirror everything I am doing now, and they can see exactly what I am seeing on my phone as I video myself, because they're using some kind of Pegasus software, illegal criminal practicing software they've put in via malware or via Pegasus. They just have to be nearby, have my phone number, and they can hack my phone 24 hours a day, having someone nearby, a mercenary, a contractor, a foreigner, who they've put into neighbours' houses, either side, if it's a terraced house, or an apartment, upstairs, downstairs, left or right. And they can have access to TI's phones, just like they've got access to my phone. And between the local community, who I've told for over a decade that they've been hacking my phone, and they want commission off it all, they exposed Marvin Davis, told him, I want commission for his stolen off my phone, and allow his boys and girls to criminal profit from my football data. Warned the Dorm Association that I'm not going to back down. I've been naming them all of them in an international lawsuit. And we still carry on. Warned the NHS girls for my generation. Because they're doing all their spotlight and trying to irritate me. The V2K, psychological warfare. And I kind of know who's who in Coventry, because I've lived here a good 40 years. I'm not backing down for my generation. I'm not going to back down from a henchman or an armed forces boy. I'm not going to back down from no doorman who thinks he's a gangster. I'm definitely not going to be scared of the CID, the DCIs, the police undercovers, if they're racketeer, how they're paying, or whether they turn a blind eye to allow this to happen, because they know NHS people, they know people in social services, mental health and healthcare. West Midlands Police Force are in serious trouble, because they ain't stopped it all. So when Judgment Day comes, and these lawsuits gather pace, the West Midlands Police Force, who's in charge of Coventry Police, they'll have to investigate the fellow police officers, the fellow undercovers, CID, DCIs, and all the names I've mentioned. And under proceeds of crime, a lot of people have to be in prison for it. Let's try and cover it all up. So stage scenarios, like today, stage scenario, I did a video earlier, but just making sure this is a bit more better. Did a stage scenario. Stage scenario is they're using, the social engineered scenario, put the actors in place, staged actors from all walks of life. They can use school children, they can use teenagers, they can use adults, they can use elderly people, they can use police officers, armed forces boys, people from the government. Just passing by, be in the vicinity of a target. So I've gone to the bus today. They have similar sized people on there. Banging their head, tripping over steps on buses or in public, or walking around looking lost, looking deluded, looking paranoid, looking scared, looking agitated. That's a staged actor. And when they're using ant-lining technologies, track and trace, thermology, ultrasound, it doesn't matter what colour that person is, when it's shown in that form, ant-lining technology, it could be anyone. But if they're similar size to the target, and they're mentally and physically acting up, to get a stitch up in the family court protection, to get court order on a target, we've just got to get so many people making phone calls to social workers, defrauding social services. Oh, very on it anyway. Yeah, that gets the target flagged up. And then if they get enough witnesses, statement makers, all sticking to the same story, saying, yeah, this man or woman, this target, is acting mentally deranged or seem to be disabled, seem to be suffering, got some kind of symptoms, some illness. If they all stick to that story, they'll be able to social engineer a detention, depending on how well the target is, into mental health or adult care homes, under the Mental Health Act or under the Vulnerability Act, under the act of them being incapacitated, Incapacity Act, that they're not worthy of living on their own because they can't look after themselves, or they might be a danger to themselves or to someone else. Yeah, that's how dirty Coventry City is, how dirty the local people are, how dirty the council, healthcare, social services, NHS, mental health is, and how dirty West Midlands is, the UK is. It's happening all over the world though as well, as targets have exposed. Because they're networking the TIs to other cities, to other councils, to other boroughs, to other states, to other countries, and trying to make subjects and examples out of them. So that's why they've exposed the senior Covert leader. Yeah, I want the name of the seniors in Coventry Council establishment if they're happy to carry on. I want them all shook off. And by law, international law, the serious crimes against humanity, they have to go to prison for it. So to shut up this Covert team leader, I've got to carry on exposing it as best as I can. And eventually, they will trip over themselves. They will make mistakes. They will be investigated. Judgment day will come. And they will be in prison for it. And they'll be struck off for it. And all their finances, all the material things, even the big wedding they've saved up, under international investigation, they'll be taken off them when they pursue a crime. For being on my phone, for washing my finances, for having a relay tag team watching 24 hours a day, and I've done the same to my mother, to my brother, and they've been raiding at us. Yeah, for over a decade. So the stage scenario for today, what we've done, some teenager girl and her friend were waiting for the bus at the terminus, where I got the bus to come back home, to my family's home, from the Flaxton Fen side, around 6 p.m. She was sitting on the floor, it's been raining, it's been wet, and when they got onto the bus to get in front of me, a black girl and a white girl, teenagers, should we say, the white girl, a Caucasian girl, saying to her friend, my backside's wet. Well, it's obvious it's going to be wet because she's been sitting on the wet floor, even if she's been sitting on a jacket, waiting for the bus. So that's a staged scenario, and that's a staged actor. Because they'll film them two, or her, who's got a wet bottom, wet clothing, in a thermology, track and trace, ultrasound camera that we're using for this research, for this avatar making, and for the tutorials for healthcare. They'll put that into a database, edit it all, and then try and state it's one of the targets that they're after who's got some kind of health problem. And so needs to be detained under the Mental Health Act, needs to be detained under the Vulnerability Act, because they've got some kind of mental, physical disability of having incontinence. Well, again, on the buses, as I said, I've been exposing the buses for a long time. They use a CCTV on the buses in the city centre, what we're doing, wherever you are. If the shopping area, the shopping centre, or your town centre, city centre, has got CCTV system, while we're doing the psychological warfare bombardment on you, if the target shows any signs of being anxious or paranoid or looking around, thinking there's something going on here. I mean, there's a strange noise around me. They'll try and use it against the target by having loads of fabricated, scripted witnesses saying, oh yeah, he, she seems to be looking paranoid, seems to be looking around everywhere. Or if they've got overt and covert operators hiding everywhere and got the photographic videoing equipment, wearables on their bodies, they can zoom in on the eyes, facial expressions, and try and stitch a target up while getting away with non-consensual, illegal, criminal practicing hidden case studies, clinical close-up research of vulnerable children people, being psychological warfare. While again, when they're desperate, when they're corrupted, abusing in authority, defrauding local authorities, they can have other people acting out a stage scenario when they're after a pensioner to put into a care home, or after a teenager or an adult to put into mental health. Yeah, using the outlining technologies. Could be anyone. Yeah, they can just have people gurning, putting faces, linked to symptoms and illnesses. Have people looking around anxiously or or being paranoid, and then try and get damning personal prosecutions on the targets by again using these corrupted courts, the UK called the Family Court of Protection, Family Court of Corruption. Yeah, they're just kangaroo courts, because these abusers, whatever portfolio profiles that they've made of people they want to detain into added care homes or mental health, they never go through the normal court system. Yeah, they use these kangaroo courts called the Family Court Protection to hide all the clinical close-up photographs, hide the sound recordings that they've done illegally, whether in your own privacy or whether in public, hide the videos that they've ferociously, desperately edited using computer software wizardry tools, and probably someone else they've filmed and captured. And then they hope to have the wicked way, get damning personal prosecutions in these unfriendly, uneven, untrustworthy kangaroo court system called the Family Court of Protection, Family Court of Corruption. So it says you have to watch out for the staged actors, stage scenarios, and watch out for the evil computer software wizardry editing malpractices, criminal practices that they try and use other people's activities, other people's facial looks, eye looks, and activities to try and get damning personal prosecutions in their Family Court of Protection kangaroo court system. When we want to detain people under the Mental Health Act, Vulnerability Act, and have fabricated, compulsive lying, scripted, paid, bribed, manipulated phone calls to social services, statement makers and witness makers who have ganged up together, hoping to take down a target, and in my case, all three family members, called a hat trick, just like in sports, football. Score 3 goals, it's called a hat trick. That's what I'm calling it. Yeah, they're trying to get a hat trick because they've been training all their juniors, training loads of criminals in the local community, and training loads of NHS people and professional in Coventry University Hospital, and training loads of people in healthcare and mental health from all over the West Midlands and all over the UK. That's what's took over a decade, and that's what I've been exposing it for over a decade. So, the West Midlands, Coventry councillors, MPs, to the Lord Mayor in Birmingham, who was going to be Lord Mayor of the West Midlands, don't know if that's still in the pipeline, Andy Street. They need to realise this targeting system needs to be investigated, and everything I have exposed in Coventry City has to be investigated, and whoever's in charge of these targeting networks in healthcare, NHS, mental health, Sunderland Centre Association and the Coventry Police needs to be investigated and needs to be struck off. Well, I've already exhausted most of my complaints to the UK authorities, to Coventry councillors, to Coventry Police, to West Midlands Police Force, to the IP IPCC at the time when it was called, Independent Police Complaints Commission. It's changed its name now to IOPC, I think. But anyway, it says I have exhausted everything I've tried to do, complaining to the UK authorities, to Coventry NHS PAL service, to Coventry Social Services Head Office, Wayside House, to my GP, to my works organisations, to the police force, and to various investigating bodies around the UK. So I'm not going to I ain't got much more any avenues of it complaining anymore, apart from trying to find a trustworthy solicitor, lawyer, or join a lawsuit. So for the time being, the saga continues, and the skullduggery still carries on 24 hours a day. So Coventry Police, you best put a stop to it. Yeah, your DCIs, your CID, pull your fingers out your bum and do some investigating work. Everyone else, TIs, keep it real. Do what you got to do, which you feel comfortable with, to expose it. And be careful, obviously, when you're complaining about it all. So make sure it doesn't sound deluded, and make sure you get your message across. That's corrupted abusers of authority, corrupted abusers of surveillance, technical, sophisticated technologies, who were involved in some kind of satanic ritual abuse and stalking, shadowing, and set up surveillance around your home and your property and your workplace if you work, and that needs to be investigated. But as we all know, they'll try and cover it all up and try and call the healthcare and the mental health authorities on you. And you have to keep them at arm's bay. So everyone else watching with interest, what would you do? Especially you trolls out there, you gang stalkers out there. Their justice needs to be served on you. And that's why TI is exposing it all over the world. Because what you are doing is evil. Radioing people. And it's a universal rule. You should not be watching people in their homes or in their own privacy. So whoever the big shots are, wherever you come from, whoever you think you are, eventually justice will be served and you will be in prison for it.